Hey guys, it's Captain Forest here, back with another Death Battle prediction video. I've got a collab going on, got some friends on the channel again to go over this pretty bizarre matchup for the season finale, of course. We're going to be covering Saitama versus Popeye. Now, I got some pretty cool guests on here, so of course, introduce yourselves. Corin.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Corn O'Keefe back yet again, and welcome to another collab death battle prediction, folks.
Awesome. And we got Bad Time.
Hello everybody. It's Bad Time 32 here. I will be here covering Saitama for the video.
And of
Yeah.
course, I've got Jobber on the channel as well.
What's up, everyone? It's your lawyer, Jobber Goodat. Nice to be back on here. Very thankful. Very grateful.
I bet. So, without further ado, Corin or Bad Time, they will go ahead and one of them will cover some of Saitama's portion, and then after that, Jobber will cover Popeye's stuff. He will go over his stats and abilities, and then near the end, I'll give my thoughts on who I think would take victory and what Death Battle will do, and anyone else can give their 2 cents at the end as well.
All right. So I'll just start off with his stats then. So all right. Okay. So yeah, I'll start off with his stats. So like I like kind of like a casual Saitama once stated that if his day would continue going bad, like he would like just basically like destroy the planet. Like he really won't care. So I casual Saitama, like AP should be planet level. And mind you too that this is just a casual Saitama. This is not really him going all out. A Saitama going all out does have this large planet feat where he made a joke out of Orochi, one of the characters in One Punch Man, who sucked up and amped himself with like part of the Earth's core, which got calced to 13 Yoda tons of energy. And that should at least be like hit large planet level. So an AP wise, Saitama should be like large planet, but like at the very lowest like planet level. For his speed, he had a feat where he blitzed Boros, where Boros was able to kick him at like 6% of the speed of life speed. And then he also has a feat where hold on. And then he has a feat where he basically like kind of plays with some stones and whatnot, which that feat was calced at 4.35 times FTL. So Saitama at the very best should be like 4 times, at least like if we like kind of estimated it, he would be 4 times FTL. And then we can go on to his abilities. He doesn't have like, what normal superheroes would have, like Superman with his light vision, Iron Man with his like robot abilities and whatnot. Like, though he's not really that type of a hero. He's more of a Goku without the ki. He's kind of more like a physical superhero. Though he does have some abilities, like he's able to like vibrate stuff, create shock waves, and kind of like basically punch something so hard to where like a part of the earth started to split. And then he has like indominant will, which has been shown to negate poison and some of Tatsumaki's abilities, like her sidekick abilities and whatnot. He's able to read people's minds. He can also affect intangible beings. So let's say, Popeye would be intangible. He would be able to affect him anyway. He has regeneration negation because he was able to one shot the Deep Sea King, um, and he also negated Black Sperm's regeneration, who Black Sperms can generate at a circular level, which should be at least high mid regeneration. And Saitama can just negate that. He can sense things, and he can also hit people with pressure points, where like he was able to hit Geno's and Garo's pressure points to make them lose their memories. So he can basically like punch your pressure point and it make you forget stuff. His resistances is before he starts training, he's able to endure a highest amount of pain. So if you were to try to use pain manipulation on him, that wouldn't quite work. He has resistance to telekinesis, as brought up before. With his will, he's able to negate Tatsumaki's telekinesis and psychic abilities. He's able to have no problem being exposed to the vacuum of space and can casually survive in lava. He was able to take this one attack where it basically controls the forces of gravity and whatnot. And Saitama, and it was also a black hole as well. And Saitama just stood there like it was nothing. Unlike the other people in the background who was like getting negged by this gravity minute move. He's able to break his limiters, which will kind of overflow the soul, the body. It messes with your DNA, like it can fuse your DNA and blood and whatnot. So if you were to be able to break through that, then you should be able to like resist like the same thing that kind of did to Saitama, or just limited him to. He's able to like negate freezing. Like if somebody would be able to freeze him, that wouldn't really matter. He's able to no diff and not be affected by a mosquito, like Mosquito Girl, which isn't like a normal mosquito. And she was basically taking his blood, but he didn't really care. It didn't really affect him at all. He's able to survive acids being thrown at him. He's able to tank Garo's water stream attacks, which can hit pressure points. So he himself should be able to negate pressure points and also send them out as his opponents. And for his last resistance, he resists probability / luck hacks, as he was able to resist King's supernatural luck, which is able to change luck and whatnot. That's all for Saitama's like stats and abilities. I will hand the mic to whoever's next.
Yeah, I'll just add on a couple things and then pass the mic over to Jobber. So just to add on even more consistency for that AP scaling that Bad Time brought up and the FTL stuff. So Saitama also beat Boros without even being like serious, without using a serious like attack. Like he wasn't completely and utterly casual, but he wasn't serious either. And this is impressive because Boros has multiple things that suggest he's either a surface wiper, planet buster, and there's some arguments you could try to use to suggest star level. But without that, it would support the Orochi scaling of the, planetary ranges, and even like a casual Saitama being in those like ranges as well. Even like the multi-continent ranges is pretty consistent and casual, for Saitama. For example, him even jumping from the moon was calced to be in the continent level ranges in itself. But yeah, overall, there's also large planet level calcs for Boros. So again, yeah, easily, like Bad Time said, planetary ranges, large planetary ranges, and even like super casually, just like continent level ranges without even just no effort at all whatsoever, just extremely casual. And even like planetary and large planet stuff it's not even him going all out either. So again, pretty freaking impressive in his own right. And then to add on more for the speed, we even have like an early on Genos earlier in the series dodging light speed lasers, which is already calced at the relativistic ranges. And again, Genos is literally nothing compared to Saitama, and this is an early on Genos before other upgrades and all that good stuff. And we also have characters like Flashy Flash, who Saitama can outpace. So that just adds on even more to that FTL scaling for just casual Saitama, not even really going all out at all. So other than that, I'll give my final thoughts later on in the video. I'll go ahead and pass the mic on to Jobber, let him go over some Popeye stuff.
All right, so the Popeye stuff is relatively straightforward. Okay, so for Popeye, we have really crazy shit where he just tears apart at least for AP at least. So for AP, you could go two ways with this, right? Either he could be around the levels of just, at least in continental like ranges of power, like you're punching people across the planet, like all that type of shit, doing like manipulating the world around him. He's done like those types of feats, but his higher ones are once again him ripping apart the animation. Some people say Universal or Universal Plus, but his most damning AP feat, it's pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie, is that a being from the seventh dimension rolls up and Popeye just beats him up. And this is Popeye with no spinach. And like I said, it's very straightforward, the AP. Many ranges you can go about this. Now, I'm just going to move on to speed because that one's relatively simple too. And it comes from a feat I mentioned before where he punched a guy across the planet that it took him like 3 or 4 seconds to fully come across, and Popeye was able to, react to him coming across and also punch him again. And I had a friend calculate that for me real quick today, and it was like about 3% or 1% the speed of light what he got, which is like sub-relativistic, which is okay. It's okay, feat, not gonna lie. But Popeye's true strength comes to his hacks. And my guy, like he has a lot of hacks and just a great amount of durability, but they both coincide with each other. Because this man, he's punching people into coins and in meat racks and stuff. I don't know how he does it. And his whole power-up system is spinach. Now, whenever he consumes spinach, this man becomes virtually unstoppable. He turns himself into a rocket and flies to places, so you can't really VFR him if you like throw him somewhere or something like that, throw him in space. He's just going to turn himself into a rocket and fly back to where the fight's taking place. There was a disintegration ray that completely just deleted his existence. And even though he didn't exist anymore, just a can of spinach out of nowhere came and fed him. Even though he's non-existent, he ate it and he regained his existence. It's very, very, very wacky. He's never gonna run out of spinach because even the audience, because there's more gifts to this. Like there's an audience member from the real world that throws spinach towards his way so he can get his power up. And whenever he like eats his spinach, there was one scene where like inside of his arms, like a nuclear like bomb just like went off. For it's just his spinach. It's just a ridiculous, very ridiculous character. Very hard to kill. I think there's more with his hacks, but I think this is enough for this battle at least. That's about it for Popeye's side.
Okay. So, after listening to both sides, I'd have to give my thoughts on who I would think would win more often than not, and what like death battle would include. As Jobber mentioned, there's many ranges you can go about his AP. I don't know if death battle is going to use his like more impressive AP showings. I hope they do. if they use like his better AP stuff, the Universal or Uni Plus, or especially I believe that was like a multi plus feat you mentioned, then like that's a sheer big AP advantage, compared to like Saitama's, depending on where you have Saitama, multi-continental, planetary, large planet, star level, even like like Popeye's AP is just vastly above that. Even if you give him like just universal, that gap's really big. I do think like Popeye has more of an advantage. He has more versatility, especially with his hexes. Like, especially when it was explained, it more so looks like, and how I think interpret like these feats, it sounds like Popeye has like reality warping punches, or like transmutation and stuff, like turning you into like coins and a meat stack. Definitely comes to the mind of reality warping, so that could be a big issue if Saitama gets tagged with that, especially with the AP advantage. That could be difficult. Now speed, this one's weird. I believe Jobber had him at like sub-rail. I believe there's like faster like speed scaling for Saitama. I think that Korin and Bad Time mentioned, so I think like Saitama should have the speed edge. But even so, there's only so much speed can do for you. Speed's practically useless if you don't have any methods or ways to dispatch of your opponent, because you'll eventually get tagged. And obviously standard battle assumptions, you're not going to know how powerful your foe is or how fast they are until they perform or you hit them, or if you have like a special ability, like precog, info analysis, telepathy, things of that nature, then that would be a different story. But obviously this is like pretty different. So I just think, like, in my opinion, I'd have to lean a little bit more so to like Popeye. I believe Popeye has some like plot hacks or some stuff, like just some crazy nasty hacks. I just think that's just way too much for Saitama to deal with. And in my opinion, like, even if, like, I'm just saying this out, like, just like in a different scenario, like even if it was like equal stats, I still would lean more so with like Popeye, even in equal stats. Just the hacks is just way too stupid for like Saitama to deal with. Just way too much. Versatility is definitely on Popeye's, definitely in his corner. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I think Popeye's going to take victory. I think Death Battle may use some low end stuff, typical. They probably will bring up his spinach as well. Like that spinach stuff, that low-key sounds like Type 8 immortality, especially if the audience is giving it him constantly, especially when he got erased and stuff. Like, that's some crazy immortality stuff. But yeah, I just have my money on Popeye. But if anyone else would like to give their thoughts, more than welcome to.
Yeah, Bad Time, you want to give your final thoughts?
On sure.
Who wins overall?
Yeah. So, I basically agree with most of what Forrest said. Though there are some like things I do want to mention. Yeah, like Forrest said, AP, like they won't really bring up 7D. Like that's very unlikely, considering that the from what I know, the record of Death Battle, like the highest they've ever brought it up was like multi plus. I don't remember seeing them bring up anything higher. But I do believe that they are definitely going to bring up the consistent uni stuff. But there's the one problem I have with Popeye winning, and that's mostly the speed edge. Mostly because that with this speed edge, that gives Saitama the chance to use his pressure points, because that's somewhat of an in-character thing for Saitama to use. And as I mentioned, Saitama's pressure points includes a effect. The effect to make the opponent lose their memory. So basically, I would argue, like not argue, that sounds like something else, but I would just say that since Saitama has the huger speed edge, because it's 1% into speed of light versus 4 times into FTL, I would argue that just because of the speed edge and his pressure points, I think he can. I believe that he can just like punch Popeye once and make Popeye even forget about the fight, and then via standard standard battle assumptions like Forrest. I heard Forrest bring up standard battle assumptions. Just via that, he can just like one of them could just walk away, and that would just give Saitama the edge. Just via like mostly standard battle assumptions. So it would definitely be like a hard fight even in animation, because we know that even though it may be a stomp, Death Battle will never make the animation like a second long. So like in the animation, it will be a very hard fought battle. But in the end, I think Saitama would just win because of the speed edge and the pressure points. If anybody else wants to give their thoughts, they can also share. But that's just my opinion.
Jobber, you want to give your final thoughts, and I'll go last.
Sure. So in this battle, I'm just gonna take it. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think Popeye, he's just gonna stomp in this battle. There's nothing Saitama can really do. That's like it's the main reason why I was like, well, there's many ways you could go with AP. Even if we say that, like, let's just make up that like Popeye doesn't have the AP advantage. Let's say Saitama has it, right? Like Saitama can't kill Popeye, and even if he did, he's just gonna come back because of spinach, and eventually, also just due to Saitama's character, because that dude's just a bored dude, and literally in all of his fights, he just lets people just hit him. He's just gonna let Popeye hit him, and Popeye's just gonna turn him into some furniture, make it like run his pockets, take his money, turn it into money, like. I don't know. It's just yikes. Like, I wouldn't mess with the spinach at all. Like, yikes. Just imagine Saitama trying to BFR him by like throwing him into space or just punching him to the moon. Just Popeye eats some spinach and he just jumps right back into the fight and just keeps fighting Saitama. And Forrest did bring up earlier, which actually did happen, which is that Popeye has talked to the animator before. Well, actually, a lot of occasions where he has talked to and interacted with him. For example, he's like, "Hey, bro, give me spinach or this and that." I just don't think this fight's gonna turn out very well for Saitama, even if he had the speed advantage in the first place. I mean, even then, like Popeye could probably just walk off the screen and appear somewhere else. At another way of getting out of BFR, he could just walk back onto the fight or walk back on the screen or just tear it apart and then throw Saitama into the white void of the animation and just leave him there. It's looking rough for Saitama. Just yikes. But hey, I'm glad Saitama is going to take this L in Death Battle. He's going to lose. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'll let you go on, Corey. That's all I gotta say about it.
All right. Right on. All right, so I guess for my final thoughts, some interesting points were made. I do actually think what Bad Time said was interesting, although in this specific setting, because Death Battle doesn't necessarily go with, like standard battle, because it has to be a death. So like the pressure point thing, that wouldn't necessarily may not entail a death. Like, yeah, sure, he could. Let's say he does have the speed edge, and like he blitzes, for example, and then he like pressure points him. He does that pressure point, nerve strikes and stuff. Like, yeah, that could like incapacitate him, maybe like knock him out or make him paralyzed or whatever. But it's like he's still there, and then there's the whole spinach aspect, and like Popeye's own crazy tune stuff, and just endurance himself and his will and stamina. And that's another thing, like stamina could be a factor in that regard as well. Because like even if Saitama ends up having the AP edge, the spinach, his regen, his immortality, all of that, it could actually play a big factor. And Saitama could just eventually get worn down. Or not even that, like, like stand there and say, yeah, like take a shot at me, let's see if you can actually do anything. And then he literally just gets turned into like a coin or something. like something completely not what he's necessarily used to dealing with, like full on like toony, like transmutation, like reality warping type stuff. You know, like that could be a factor. That could be a way it could go. Take him out that way. Because I mean, technically, Saitama wouldn't be like if he's just an object, like without lungs or anything. He technically would be not alive. I guess is that like a technicality? I guess you could try to go about it like that. But then there's also Popeye could end up having the big AP edge, and he could end up just dominating Saitama. And then like Saitama could just have the speed edge, or they could legit just say that Saitama does have the speed advantage. He's strong enough to one-shot characters who are like Popeye's level. Let's say if they only scale Popeye to like continent or something, and they're like, well, even Saitama can do that with his casual punches, like or something. We don't, that could also be a possibility. With maybe like the whole spinach stuff, they may bring something up for it. I don't know. They may go some route, So this is one of those fights. While it does seem like one may dominate the other at first glance, it could potentially prove to be intriguing. And, that said, I am kind of intrigued to see how they go about it, to see what they say. And I've been, not gonna lie, I've been enjoying the past few death battles myself. So yeah, hopefully, this one will be entertaining. Yeah, so overall, it really does depend. And if this was like, let's say if it was like in like this versus setting, the standard battle stuff that we normally go with, then I would say I'd probably lean more towards Popeye more often than not. Like he just has way more going for him in that regard, stuff like that. I'd probably argue for him more often than not. And in a death battle setting, it does seem somewhat similar, maybe to a lesser degree, but it does seem like Popeye has more ways to like potentially kill Saitama rather than vice versa, unless some things just have more stuff behind them that may, restrict Popeye. Maybe there's something, I don't know, that's not being shown. Maybe there's something that they might pull. And if, the spinach stuff doesn't come into play or if it's some reason found by death battle not to be like a big factor, in Saitama one shots, then I mean that could be a route. But I think I may have to lean more towards Popeye the Sailor Man in both regards more often than not. If we go off the standard stuff that, guys like us normally go with, or if we go off death battle, to the very death, I do think there may be more stuff to say Popeye more often than not in that regard for them. I feel like he's probably got more stuff that's, more ways to stay in the game. And again, more ways to take the kill, like to pretty much kill per se, rather than just like punch or like throw to the moon. Because again, Popeye does have ways to retaliate and come back. So again, I guess I would have to say more often than not Popeye the Sailor Man. But if Saitama wins, hey, hopefully I'll find it to be an entertaining episode. Hopefully both sides still get some justice at the end of the day regardless. Looking forward to seeing how this animation turns out as well. Should be pretty enjoyable. But yeah, overall, Popeye more often than not. Anyone else want to give their final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's all she wrote, folks.
Awesome.
Peace.
See you guys.